Yeah, okay. A continuation from where I stopped on the last video, the rise of woke. This is the rise of woke 2, focus on the causative paradigms. Um, Actually, where I stopped last time, I was really talking about the foundational ignorance among a majority of the younger generation, which tends to be the main vehicle behind the current woke movement. And I try to emphasize that this modern technology driven, uh, education driven generation tend to respond to trends. They tend to respond to fashion. They tend to respond to social movements. And because of that, they tend to move with just anything, any idea that catches their fancy. So sometimes they don't really care what is going on, they just respond to it. And a lot of that response, which is a natural human phenomenon, uh, may be done out of ignorance, out of poor education. And just because it is the thing, they want to follow it. And some of them might actually find some kind of employment through such movements and schemes, and of course it becomes what they can fight for, what they can even die for. And so this is the problem with the current woke phenomenon, and it is very, very different from the original desire to emancipate the black person uh, and the African, for that matter, from the continuous effects of the transatlantic slave trade, to put the black person, the African person, back on the map as somebody who is original, has his own culture, has his own place in the universe, and deserves more than just a passing mention in the scheme of things. So basically, this is the foundation of the foundation that we must look at if we want to really tackle this issue of the woke phenomenon. And the current woke phenomenon uh, threatens the very foundation of the liberation of the black man, of the African person, while it is actually stemming from the very from Africa itself. So, and that would suffice that the only solution then in trying to fix this disjoint would be found in the educational sector itself, because education serves as the medium through which woke ideas are actually communicated. And when you listen to somebody like Thomas Sowell, you will really get that from some of the things he's saying. I haven't read any of his books, but I have heard him talk about it on some of the videos posted online, and I really find that his thoughts resonate with how I would perceive the current phenomenon. Um, the thing is with Christians is that, especially, that are part and parcel of the issues that arise in this generation, is that we create some of these things because we are too quick to, just side with the rich or side with the government without really thinking of what the repercussions may be. And because of that, we must be part and parcel of the solution. And so it's not most of the time we just go to the Bible and we just talk about, studying the Bible, talk about biblical things, and people will sort themselves out. But it's not always that simple, um, especially among the youth. The youth believe that the Bible is archaic, is not something that they can work with. So how do you now use the Bible to address the issues which they feel affects them? You have to talk directly at the issue, and then with time you reference the Bible in trying to solve those problems. So education is the main medium through which these work ideas are being passed. And some of those ideas even come from pastors and biblical academics. They create these ideas and they pass it down to the younger disciples, as it were. And so when you listen to somebody like Thomas Sowell, you will be able to see a point of view. I must say, I don't agree on every point with Thomas Sowell, but he is one that actually tackles the issue the way uh, I would believe that a true academic should tackle the issues. So, because education is the medium through which work ideas are passed down, it is in education that the solutions still lie. Uh, Ironically, it is still in education. If you look at the system now, what we experienced here in Africa, we were experiencing in Africa. When we went to the media, we discovered that was the same thing that was going on in places like the United States of America. Education was the first point where, uh, uh, you know, the effects were first felt. You know, uh, Children were taught things their parents probably most likely did not approve of, and these affected the way they saw society. These affected the way they handled the education itself. The curriculum in education itself was totally transformed, and sometimes that transformation was not really positive. And so, when we want to tackle the issues, we must go back to the educational sector. We must go back to the classrooms. And some of those classrooms, secular classrooms, are inclusive. Those are where the real bombardment started. And we know the history of some of these things. You go to the philosophy classes, the socialism classes. Of course, in the 90s, the premiere of the book "How Europe Underdeveloped Africa" was a major cause of the uprising in in African and Western academic institutions that gave birth to the woke ideology of today. So, in education lies the solution, because when people are educated, they will be able to properly uh, understand what they are into, first of all, and know and to sort the issues within them and bring out real solutions. And one of the failures of modern day education is that it has failed to bring out people who are able to do this. And one of the issues is that these people are not able to transit into the political class and bring these things to life. Now, as different from is happening in Africa, what is happening in the United States is the reverse. Now, these academics have been able to get into the political class. Of course, one of them is Obama. We know Obama very well. They have been able to get there. But still, those issues, it is still not really. And the greatest success of the woke ideology is in the United States. But up till now, a lot of people are saying that, of course, there are a lot of issues leave to be desired as to how the implementation of the woke ideology has taken place, because the woke ideology itself is not legitimate. The real, the legitimate movements are the civil rights movement and the African independence movement, Pan Africanism, as it were. Woke ideology is just a reaction to the failure of communism, and was kind of seen as mostly opportunistic. And then, education is the solution. Uh, the curriculum, the fixing of the curriculum, the educational curriculum. I don't think that academics should be allowed to push their political views on in their classrooms. Well, they can say this is what I believe, but to say that that is the standard is another thing. So that is just the problem that we are facing, and because of this has given rise to what I would term the new exploitation amid hypocrisy. What is the new exploitation amid hypocrisy? I mean, uh, is a form of narcissism, if you like. Uh, there are groups that are considered to be, not really in line with the current paradigm, so they can be done away with economically and, if possible, physically. And it is the new exploitation. And that is happening even to those people who should be beneficiaries of the desire to emancipate the people, and hence become victims of the very thing that they are supposed to be enjoying. And this is taking place in the business sector, politically, and or whatnot. And we see it affecting the economy worldwide. And so this is the uh, part of the issues that make us to say that the woke agenda tends to have the lack of legitimacy to it. And the question is, will it bring about the end of the world? That is the big question. And I believe that for us Christians, that should be the question in our minds. So we're able to relate it to what biblical prophecy is all about, and be able to understand our role in this part. And as we go on, I'll continue to discuss these issues. But for now, I'll round up on this one. I hope there will be one more topic on the rise of woke. And see you soon. I'm David.